Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. For years, Sister Wives fans have watched the slow, painful unraveling of KODY and MERI Brown's relationship, a love story that began with such high hopes, only to end in a storm of heartbreak, distance, and silent resentment. But now, as new behind-the-scenes truths emerge, it's becoming clearer than ever that their so-called final chapter wasn't just about love lost. It was about a web of betrayal, control, and long-hidden secrets finally surfacing to the light. From the moment MERI met KODY back in 1990, she believed in the dream. A dream of plural marriage, faith, and forever unity under one roof. KODY's charm and conviction swept her up in a fantasy of shared love and purpose, but the reality, as MERI later admitted in raw confessional interviews, was nothing like the spiritual ideal she envisioned. Over the years, KODY's affection for MERI faded into a kind of cold tolerance, and what started as the couple's fairy tale foundation for the Brown family eventually turned into its most tragic fracture. Viewers could sense the shift long before it was spoken. The way KODY avoided eye contact, how MERI's smiles became tighter, how conversations were replaced with clipped exchanges and awkward silences. What we didn't see until much later was how deeply the emotional disconnection had eaten away at MERI's confidence and KODY's patience. When the infamous catfishing scandal broke in 2015, it became a public symbol of everything that had gone wrong between them. MERI, isolated and desperate for companionship, was lured into an online relationship she believed was real, a relationship that gave her the attention and affection KODY no longer provided. Instead of empathy, KODY responded with anger and humiliation, using the incident to justify his emotional detachment. It was the point of no return, and both of them knew it. MERI tried to rebuild, showing up for family events, smiling through the tension, and saying in interviews that she still loved her husband. But behind closed doors, insiders revealed that KODY had already emotionally checked out. He stopped visiting her home, refused intimacy, and spoke of her more like an old friend than a wife. By the time season 18 aired, KODY openly admitted that there was no marriage to save, while MERI quietly packed her emotional bags, ready to walk away for good. But the real bombshell came when MERI hinted in interviews that there were truths fans never knew about how KODY manipulated narratives, how he controlled emotional access to his wives, and how she often felt gaslight into believing she was the problem. According to multiple sources close to the Browns, the final straw wasn't the catfish. It was KODY's blatant favoritism toward Robin and his refusal to acknowledge MERI's pain. He wanted to end things years before, but TLC needed the drama, one insider claimed. He kept stringing MERI along for storyline purposes. That revelation alone sent shockwaves through the Sister Wives fandom. Could it be that their drawn-out marital recovery arc was never genuine, but rather a way to keep ratings high and public curiosity alive? MERI's recent social media posts suggest she's finally free of the emotional burden she carried for decades. She's been smiling, traveling, and even teasing a new romance, all while throwing subtle shade at her ex. "Sometimes you have to walk away to find peace," she wrote in one post, seemingly referencing her painful split from KODY. The symbolism of her moving her business and spending more time outside Flagstaff has not gone unnoticed either. It's as if she's reclaiming her independence, one brave step at a time. Meanwhile, KODY's version of the final chapter paints him as the misunderstood husband who tried to keep the family together while being emotionally abandoned by his wives. But fans aren't buying it. They've seen his patterns of blame, his temper flaring during confessional scenes, and his constant attempts to portray himself as the victim while downplaying the emotional neglect his wives endured. For MERI, this final break wasn't just a divorce. It was liberation from decades of being sidelined. The truth is, she was the first wife, the foundation of the Brown family, and for years she bore the brunt of KODY's shifting moods and ambitions. When Robin entered the picture, everything changed. Suddenly, MERI was no longer his confidant or priority. Robin's arrival symbolized a turning point in the family dynamic, one where emotional loyalty was traded for obsession and favoritism. Fans saw it. The way KODY's eyes lit up when Robin spoke, the way he deferred to her opinions, and the way MERI's presence slowly became background noise. But perhaps the most haunting part of KODY and MERI's final chapter is how quietly it ended. There was no screaming match, no explosive breakup scene. Instead, there was just silence, the kind of silence that comes when two people have nothing left to say. "He doesn't consider himself married to me," MERI admitted in a confessional, her voice trembling but steady. "He hasn't for a long time." Those words hit like a dagger to fans who had rooted for their reconciliation. What followed was a wave of sympathy and admiration for MERI's strength. She stayed longer than most would have, hoping KODY might one day rediscover the love they once shared. But as she later revealed, the realization that he never would was the key that unlocked her freedom. "I had to choose myself," she said in an interview. And that's exactly what she's done. KODY, on the other hand, has seemed more defensive than remorseful. In recent episodes, his anger boiled over as he blamed MERI and his other wives for destroying the family. He called them disloyal, selfish, and unwilling to follow leadership. But fans noticed the contradiction. While accusing others of selfishness, KODY continued to live comfortably with Robin in their $1.1 million Flagstaff mansion, detached from the rest of his family. The optics were glaring. A man who once preached unity, now living in isolation, with the one wife who never challenged him. Meanwhile, MERI's quiet evolution has inspired fans to see her as the ultimate comeback story. She's focusing on her bed and breakfast business in Utah, building new friendships and sharing cryptic motivational messages that hint at newfound peace. Behind the scenes, TLC insiders have whispered that KODY and MERI's final chapter may still hold surprises. Reports suggest that unreleased footage from their last joint interview exposes just how toxic things had become. MERI was done hiding, an insider claimed. She confronted him about things the cameras never showed: emotional manipulation, favoritism, and his refusal to take accountability. While KODY brushed off her words, the moment reportedly left producers shaken. "You could feel the tension," said another source. It wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the collapse of a power structure that defined the entire show. Indeed, with Christine and Janelle already gone and MERI officially moving on, the era of sister wives as we know it has reached its final, bittersweet chapter. And yet, fans can't help but wonder, did MERI ever get the closure she deserved? Or did KODY's arrogance rob her of that too? For MERI, closure seems to come not from KODY's apologies, but from her own healing journey. She's embraced a new life philosophy centered on self-worth, resilience, and authenticity. Her captions tell the story. Sometimes peace comes after walking away from what no longer serves you. Every smile in her new photos feels like an act of rebellion against the pain she endured for years. KODY's response, meanwhile, has been one of indifference mixed with occasional bitterness. He's described MERI's departure as inevitable, claiming he saw it coming long before she did. But viewers can sense the defensiveness, the way his voice tightens whenever her name is mentioned, as if part of him still feels the sting of losing the woman who first believed in him. MERI's journey is now one of self-reclamation, and she's no longer defined by KODY's coldness or TLC's editing choices. She's writing her own story, one that's less about loss and more about rebirth. Her recent ventures, from motivational retreats to public speaking engagements, reflect her transformation. The once tearful wife now stands tall, confident, and unapologetically herself. Fans who once pitted her now cheer for her as the unexpected heroine of the Sister Wives saga, the woman who finally said enough. Meanwhile, KODY's empire appears to be crumbling. His relationships with Janelle and Christine remain strained, his connection with his adult children is fractured, and even his bond with Robin is showing cracks. The very family he claimed to lead has dispersed, each member finding strength outside his shadow. The truth about KODY and MERI's final chapter, then, isn't just about the death of a marriage, it's about the end of an illusion. For years, KODY sold viewers a vision of unity built on faith and equality, but behind the scenes, there was hierarchy, favoritism, and manipulation. MERI's courage to walk away has shattered that illusion once and for all. She has become the mirror through which fans now see KODY's true nature, a man who preaches loyalty but practices control, who demands love but withholds it in return. And as the cameras fade and the storylines wrap, one thing remains undeniable. MERI's light has only grown stronger in KODY's absence. Her final chapter with him may be over, but her story of strength, healing, and independence has only just begun. In the end, Sister Wives has become more than just a show about polygamy. It's a story about evolution, about women finding their voices after years of silence. And at the center of that evolution stands MERI Brown, the woman who once sat quietly beside KODY, now standing on her own, unafraid to tell her truth. The final secret she revealed wasn't one of scandal or betrayal, but one of self-discovery, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go. And for MERI, letting go of KODY wasn't the end, it was her beginning. Even after the cameras stopped rolling on what appeared to be their final joint confessional, the emotional fallout between KODY and MERI lingered like a shadow neither could shake. Insiders close to production later revealed that their last days filming together were nothing short of icy. Crew members described an atmosphere so tense that even the slightest disagreement could send sparks flying. One producer claimed that KODY refused to sit near MERI during a promotional shoot, saying bluntly, "There's nothing to promote, we're done." MERI, composed but visibly hurt, kept her cool as always, though those who know her well said the pain was written all over her face. This wasn't just a separation, it was a public undoing of decades of shared life, faith, and family. What began as the union that launched the entire Brown family ended as a cautionary tale of emotional abandonment and unfulfilled promises. When KODY and MERI first joined Sister Wives in 2010, their marriage seemed strong, built on history, loyalty, and faith. They were the originals, the foundation from which the rest of the family grew. But as the years passed and new wives joined the dynamic, that foundation began to crack. KODY's attention shifted, and MERI's quiet devotion turned into quiet suffering. Fans often noticed her sitting at the edge of family discussions, trying to interject, only to be dismissed or ignored. It was clear she was being erased from the emotional hierarchy of the household. What most didn't realize at the time was that MERI was already battling deep internal conflict, torn between her spiritual belief in eternal marriage and her human need for love and respect. She held on to the hope that KODY would eventually return to her emotionally, but each season only proved that hope was misplaced. Then came the whispers that KODY had made an unspoken decision to emotionally divorce MERI long before any official announcement. Multiple insiders have confirmed that by the time cameras rolled on season 17, KODY hadn't spent a night at MERI's home in over 2 years. He'd visit for filming, but that was it, one crew member alleged. There was no affection, no connection. You could feel it, the tension, the finality. TLC producers reportedly tried to encourage KODY to show more warmth for the sake of storytelling, but he refused. "It's fake," he allegedly said. "I'm not going to pretend." That stubborn refusal marked the moment MERI realized that their spiritual bond was truly broken. And yet, even as the relationship disintegrated, KODY tried to control the narrative. In his confessional segments, he spoke about MERI as if she were the one who had let go, subtly framing himself as the wronged party. Fans, however, saw through the deflection. They'd witnessed his growing resentment, his dismissive tone, and his refusal to take accountability. MERI's tears were real, her heartbreak raw, and that authenticity connected with millions who had experienced similar emotional neglect. That's why when MERI finally announced her separation, the internet exploded with support. "We're proud of you," one fan wrote. "You deserve peace." Another said, "Watching you choose yourself has been more powerful than any scene in the show." In the months that followed, MERI began her quiet rebirth. She poured her energy into her Lizzie's heritage in business in Parowan, Utah, transforming it not just into a successful enterprise, but into a symbol of independence. Friends describe her as lighter, freer, even radiant, a stark contrast to the lonely, heartbroken woman viewers once saw. On social media, she shared photos of hiking trips, inspirational quotes, and joyful selfies that radiate newfound confidence. Healing looks good on her. Fans comment again and again. Meanwhile, KODY's world seems to be shrinking. His relationship with Robin, once his refuge, now appears strained under the weight of isolation. With Janelle, Christine, and now MERI gone, KODY's once expansive family has fractured into separate paths, leaving him to reflect, though whether he actually does remains uncertain. What's undeniable is that the truth about KODY and MERI's final chapter goes far beyond heartbreak. It's a story of self-realization born from decades of spiritual and emotional repression. For MERI, it took losing everything she thought she needed to discover that she already had everything within her: strength, courage, and resilience. Her decision to finally close that door wasn't about revenge or bitterness. It was about reclaiming her peace. And though KODY may still view the ending through a lens of pride and denial, the audience knows better. They've watched MERI transform from the neglected first wife into the woman who dared to walk away, proving once and for all that her value was never tied to KODY's approval. The final chapter wasn't just the end of their marriage. It was the long overdue beginning of MERI Brown's freedom.